In our first story tonight, President Akufo-Addo says his administration will, in the coming days, roll out a 5-point national action plan to deal with the menace of illegal mining across the country. Some 1,400 small-scale miners in all mining districts would also be vetted as part of moves to streamline the mining sector. Speaking at the official opening of the Secretariat of the Interministerial Task Force, the President charged the participating ministries to coordinate and work closely with Operation Vanguard to ensure sustainable mining.
Within the framework of the Convention of the United Nations International Development Organization, UNIDO, the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, MESTI, is preparing a national action plan that will have the following features. 1. Actions to eliminate worst practices of mercury exposure. 2. Steps to facilitate formalization or regulation of the artisanal small-scale gold mining sector. 3. Strategies for promoting the reduction of emissions and releases of mercury. 4. Strategies for providing information to artisanal and small-scale gold miners and affected communities. And 5. Public health strategy on the exposure of artisanal and small-scale gold miners and their communities to mercury. UNIDO is to be commended for allowing the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining to constitute the advisory committee of the Minamata Convention on Mercury National Action Plan. This is a clear demonstration that the actions we have taken to streamline small-scale mining in Ghana are in sync with the National Action Plan initiated by MESTI and UNIDO. Ladies and gentlemen, we're entering a new era in our efforts to formalize the small-scale mining industry so as to achieve sustainable mining with sound environmental practices. In the weeks and months ahead, I expect to see optimal coordination amongst participating ministries and the district mining committees, as well as close interaction with Operation Vanguard, small-scale miners, and the general public. I expect the committee to receive regular reports from mining centers so that illegal activities can be dealt with immediately. With the inauguration of the district committees in some 10 days, an important exercise will be carried out, and that is vetting of about 1,400 small-scale miners in all the mining districts of Ghana, allegedly the total population of all small-scale miners in the country. This will enable us to know in full their details and whereabouts and to monitor their activities. As I indicated earlier on, the fight against illegal mining is entering a new phase. With this office in place, there's going to be constant, close, and effective monitoring and reporting of anti-galamsey activities so that the right thing is done all the time.
The President shed more light on the 5-point action plan to tackle illegal mining, while Minister of Lands and Natural Resources John Peter Mo, whose ministry has championed the fight against illegal mining, commended and called on the Association of Small-Scale Miners to work closely with the Interministerial Committee in a bid to realize the targets set by the administration.
It is our expectation that as Ghanaians, we must understand that the President meant to sanitize the system. And that is exactly what we are doing. I want to use this opportunity to congratulate the Small Scale Miners Association for their collaboration to date, notwithstanding the numerous work the media has done within the area and also across the country. Specifically championing this is our good friend Ken and his team. The media, the Small Scale Association, we are doing this for your benefit. Ghanaians are watching you. Ghanaians know very well that with your involvement, together with the committee, we will be able to achieve our aims and objectives. we are not letting you go. We have to involve you day in, day out. Just about a week ago, the Small Scale Association, the task force, managed to do a marvelous job. And we want to say, Ayiko, we are going to enter a new year. And in entering this new year, we expect your collaboration further. The president is determined that as long as we are able to clear the environment and make sure that we move in a way that conforms to international practices, the benefit will come to everybody. On that note, I want to congratulate you and to give you the assurance that His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is not against mining. What the president and the government of MPP is against is the methodology that we adopt in our mining practices. We will sanitize the system and we will make sure that Ghanaians benefit from these natural resources.
Away from that, the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, is calling on the government to expedite action on the planned decommissioning of the Saltpond Oilfield in the central region. This is because the oil field is not generating enough revenue for the state as compared to the kind of investment put in by the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, GNPC. This was part of recommendations by the committee in its 2017 semi-annual report. Ebenezer Sabate has more.
Ghana's oldest oil field, the Saltpond Oilfield managed by the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, has been inefficient since 2015. PIAC's recommendation for the field to be closed is because its operation costs far exceed revenues accrued by the field. Saltpond Oilfield produced about 41,000 barrels of oil in 2014, which is 30,000 barrels less than the total production of the previous year. There has, however, been no production since the third quarter of 2015. The Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, is calling on the government to expedite action on the planned decommission of the Saltpond Oilfield in the central region. Dr. Steve Mantiao is a member of the PIAC.
The need for GNPC to continue maintaining a skeletal staff on the Saltpond oil field without any active production going on there. We know that if you're not producing and yet you are paying people, of course it will have a certain effect on the overall overhead cost. And this is what is happening. And the recommendation we've made to government is to expedite action in terms of the decommissioning of the Saltpond oil fields to avoid the unnecessary costs being incurred in maintaining staff on the rig.
Dr. Mantia also hinted that PIAC will be investigating the cause of high wage bill of the country's petroleum exploration company, GNPC, which has become a worry to the Finance Committee of Parliament.
It had to do with the ballooning of the wage bill of Parliament, of GNPC. In this particular instance, I think PIAC could have done some further work in terms of trying to explain what accounted for the ballooning of the wage bill, as to whether it's as a result of additional recruitment or increases in salaries and by what percentage and all that. And then to run a comment as to what the policy recommendation in respect of these increases should be. So, but PIAC left it hanging, and that was a low side in terms of the report. Yes.
So could PIAC invite GNPC again to come back to tell you or to explain to you why it is ballooning?
Yeah, we don't actually need to invite GNPC, but I guess we'll have to look at the figures again and make a few inquiry in terms of what accounted for salary increases in this wage bill. Of course, the documents, whatever we do as PIAC, we do on the basis of documentation. And so we need to look at the document and ask GNPC to explain what happened. But we'll not necessarily invite. We can go to GNPC and seek all these clarifications.
So will we investigate it?
Yeah, it's something PIAC would like to do because we don't want to leave it hanging the way it is.
The committee has also called on the Ministry of Finance to make disclosure of all oil-funded projects in the country.
Well, speak of oil-funded projects, we want to talk about revenue now, and the Executive Director of the Kumasi Institute of Technology and Environment, Ishmael Ejekumhene, is saying that there must be a second look at the manner in which the petroleum revenue is managed as we head into a new year. Successive governments have mismanaged the funds, depriving the country of the benefits of the oil find.
To do with the way we have decided as a country to use the petroleum revenue for the past 5 years. Even when I was on PIAC and since I was consulting for them, it was always coming up that we were not focusing the expenditure on priority areas, and there were too many areas that were trying to spend the money, and that was affecting the impact of the oil money. So I think going forward in 2017, of course, because the money wasn't enough and a chunk of it was also going to the free SHS, I think we didn't spend the money on too many areas. I think we should, and consistently, what we've been telling the government is that let's decide on what we have been calling legacy projects. If it's a new airport that we want to build with the oil money, let's do that. If it's a railway line we want to build or use the money to develop the railway line from Accra to Aga, let's do that so that everybody can go to this project and say that this is how we spend the oil money. At the moment, we are not doing that, and that's why we are not seeing the impact. I think going into the new year, I hope we'll be able to focus the expenditure on top priority areas so that we will see the impact of oil revenue.
And I'm sure Ishmael Ejikumhin is speaking earlier on the marketplace. Let's turn to the aviation sector. And Consumer Unit and Trust Society CATS Ghana has impressed on the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority the need to fast-track the implementation of the Consumer Protection Directive, which would guard the interests of airline passengers. The directive, as approved under the Montreal Convention of 1999, covers passenger rights and protection. We'll hear from the Center Coordinator of CATS Ghana in a bit, but first, the incident that is sparking this conversation. 3 Ghanaian passengers who say they were abused and verbally abused by officials of TAP Air Portugal. Sheila Tamakulu has the rest of the story.
The 3 Ghanaian women who were heading to Sao Tome had purchased their flight tickets 4 months ago. Initial reports had it that they were asked to vacate their seats for Caucasian passengers because the flight was overbooked. Having resisted the ejection from the flight, the 3 women were subsequently allegedly assaulted and dragged out of the boarding area by some security officials.
You are telling me I can't fly. It's not quite normal. You can't touch me. So don't touch me.
The victims have since lodged a complaint of assault against the security officials as well as officials of the airline at the airport police station.
We finished with the check-in, then on Saturday we went to the airport to get our boarding passes. So we just proceeded with the departure formality, went through immigration, did everything, and went to our gate, which is gate 2, to wait for boarding. Then I was there with my sister and Evelyn when the TAP officials sent one of their staff to come and call Evelyn and myself that they needed us downstairs. So we got there. Then Georgia said, "Madam, we have an issue. There's been an incident of overbooking and we would have to drop Evelyn and you." So I firmly declined and told Georgia, "No, I'm not going to agree. You should have told me that before you issued me a boarding pass."
There were 4 security guys there, and then I think 4 TAP officials also in presence before the foreigners, and they said they were not letting us enter. So they started pushing Ifa, even though she had their ticket and everything. They started pushing her. So I took out my phone. I was going to record what was happening to both of them, and then one security guy just held my neck and pushed me on a metal chair right behind me. He was struggling to take the phone out of me so that I won't record. So I gave him the phone. I had another phone in my bag. I took that one out and I said, "We need evidence because we know that this thing, if we don't film something, then they're going to use their word against us and call us liars."
TAP Air Portugal has issued an apology letter on the incidents and assured that proper investigations will be carried out. However, the victims insist they will pursue the suit.
Well, the Center Coordinator of the Consumer Unit and Trust Society, CATS Ghana, Apia Kusiadmako, says incidents like what you saw call for the speedy implementation of the Consumer Protection Directive. He has been telling us more about the directive.
Regulation is about the domestication of the Montreal Protocol, which was passed in 1985. And so we are almost 23 years behind in terms of implementing it. The regulation looks at denied boarding. That is when you pay for your flight and then you are denied boarding because of overbooking. It also looks at your delays. Let's say, for example, if the aircraft delays for more than certain hours, the passenger is required for compensation. Everybody on board that flight is required for compensation, and as well as your luggage. If you lose your luggage or your luggage even delays, you are also required for compensation when the regulation comes into play.
In other news tonight, cane artisans are appealing to the Forestry Commission to regularize supply of raw materials. According to the artisans, inadequate raw materials have slowed down their business. Joy Businesses Bismarck Awusa has the details.
So we are looking at the business of weaving with canes, and I'm currently here at the cane village here in Cantonment to interact with some artisans and find out from them how business has been so far.
It is no denying the fact that the cane business has made some contributions to employment in the country. Meanwhile, the dwindling supply of raw materials to sustain this business has become a major headache for artisans. Thomas Odro-Kwarteng is secretary of New Vision Handicraft Association. He explains some of the challenges they face.
Formerly, we can buy a bundle of cane for 100 cedis, but this is why we bought one bundle of cane for 200 Ghana cedis.
Because of increase in demand?
Because the increase of demand, yeah. Because we are a lot, and the quantity they supply doesn't reach us, and each and every one is fighting for. So the price keep on changing. The price keep on changing. So I don't know if we approve to the Forestry Commission, they will come in for us. If you attach it to their business, cutting the cane, supply to us, we buy from them, and also they will also make a lot of money out of it.
So you are calling on forestry?
Yeah, the forestry department.
Okay.
Because they are controlling the forest, and they know where they can get the cane. And the cane is not like timber, whereby they say you cut a cane, it's going to destroy forest. No, I don't think that way. Just a wire, you cut it within 1 year time to come back and say.
The ban on hampers for public institutions has also had a negative impact on their business, as Mr. Odro-Kwarteng shares with me.
The outgoing president sees the ministries not to use state money to buy hampers or to do hampers for themselves. So they stopped it.
And how did that affect your business?
It affects us a lot. Because this is our peak season. You use your money to produce, or you go in for a loan to come and do your production. Formerly they were buying it. So I'll go in for a loan to come and do a loan. Let's say I'll produce about 500 pieces of basket. And the president just said, no one should use the state coffers to buy a basket to do a hamper. Fine. The patronage, a lot of patronage was from the ministries or from the government departments.
Okay.
Yeah. The individuals who may come in, they'll buy one or two. But if the ministries are coming, they'll say, oh, I need about 100 pieces of basket and about 200 pieces of basket. So you can sell and get your money back and pay where you get your money from. But one will come and say, I need one or two. How are you going to bring this one or two? So later on, you see, at the end of the day, your basket will be there. So the outgoing government sees it, and the current government too came and also continued. So this is the patronage is bad.
But has the handicraft business been enough an employment opportunity?
We have about 20 years.
20 years.
I've been doing this for about 20 years now. It's helped me in so many ways. It's helped me cater for my family and all my needs. But the only challenge I have is permanency. I'm still working on getting a permanent place to do this.
About 20 years ago.
And you think it has been a profitable business for you?
Yeah, it's very profitable because a lot of dropouts don't have nothing to do. So, I mean, if you are a dropout and you don't have nothing to do, at least you can come and learn something from here. And it will help you a lot.
Meanwhile, some patrons believe that cane-weaved crafts are durable compared to other materials like plastics and metals.
Oh, because it's more durable and it's more presentable if you want to give someone a gift.
Well, first of all, is the durability of the wood, how long it lasts, and how long also it keeps you in your home, and also to promote the African industry concerning timber as well.
considering all the challenges facing the cane weaving business, it is obvious it is becoming less lucrative. However, the global handicraft sector has an industry value of about $100 billion that the country could potentially tap into. For Joy Business, Bismarck Osa reporting.
Well, still on the subject of employment, if you're looking for a job in the public sector in 2018, then be moderating your expectations. At least that is the hint we are getting from Deputy Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, Bride Rekubrobe. According to him, government's agenda for job creation next year will be centered on agriculture and the expansion of infrastructure. He says job seekers will be employed along those lines.
A lot more people who wanted hope by way of job. Here, as I saw, we didn't kind of see too much of that, all because we are trying to put lots of structures in place. So we even had to halt some of the recruitments we were doing, bridging the gap somewhere around November, to make sure we have a very well thought through plan to roll out in 2018. So personally, I have been telling all those who are looking for jobs to brace up, because 2018 comes with more hope. And the budget that we rolled out is termed a Juma budget. From page 1 to the last page, it talks about jobs. And for me, this is the time for everybody to be very optimistic and brace up. One thing I would say moving into 2018 is for people to come with the fact that we want jobs. We want jobs, not the kind of probably jobs they have anticipated. Everybody wants to be in Tai, everybody wants to be in the regional capital, Accra, but a lot more jobs, the agri jobs, and a lot more jobs will not be found in Accra and Takoradi and Kumasi or Tamale. A lot more jobs probably will be found in the districts where we expect our young graduates to brace up and orientate themselves towards starting from somewhere and building it up. Once we have the experience and all that, jobs will even be chasing you up. But now you see most of the jobs we apply, they come with 4 years experience, 3 years experience, which the young ones don't have. It's unfortunate, but because of the private-led kind of jobs that we want to create, nobody wants to, start with a novice. So the government is keen to also start with them, so they become more prepared, and then we roll them on. So this is the orientation people must have. Everybody wants to be in Accra, Kumasi, Takoradi. It must not be so.
We are moving on next to our interview of the day, and the Food and Drugs Authority is blaming the influx of unwholesome goods on the Ghanaian market on the country's porous borders. The FDA has warned consumers about the proliferation of unwholesome products in the country, especially this festive season. Head of Communications at the FDA, James Latte, tells Joy Business this trend can change if there is strict surveillance at the borders.
Interview of the day.
Had meetings with Kiba. I'm talking about actually stakeholders in the advertisement field to explain a couple of things to them, so I'll be able to streamline advertisements. In fact, a whole lot have been done this year. Yeah.
But beyond all these, issues that you've outlined to me, there still seem to be some challenge in terms of the, enforcement of, regulations to ensure that our markets are safe. The very things that we take in, are very safe. What do you think could be going wrong, both on your side and on the consumer side? Not forgetting that of the, the people who really sell these things.
Yeah, you see, one big challenge has to do with our porous borders in this country. When you look at the law, it's very clear in the law that no one can import. No, let me put it this way: no one is supposed to import, manufacture, distribute, sell, unless, I'm talking about FDA regulated products, unless the products have been registered by the FDA. But because of our porous borders, people can go to our neighboring countries and find ways to bring in unregistered products onto the market.
interview of the day.
And that's it for Business Live. Remember, we have a special review of the 2017 economic year at 13 hours GMT on Friday. Do stick to this channel for more. My name is Darryl Kwao.